Hey everyone, Peter here with TheReadingTutors.com. Welcome to another episode. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'd like to talk about the issue of reading and guessing at words. Guessing at words is a big problem with students who have reading and spelling difficulties. And today I'd like to give some examples of it, also talk about the causes and what you can do to help a student fix those issues. This is a very, very common problem. And it's a very typical one that we see in students who have reading and spelling difficulties. Let me give you an example of how this works. A little bit earlier in the week, we had a student in our online tutoring program who was reading a comprehension section about the Mississippi River. They were reading a sentence that said the Mississippi River flows from north to south. Now when they got to the word flow, they simply saw the FL at the beginning of the word, or saw that the word contained the F and the L, and they just simply guessed follow. They said that. So the sentence ended up something like, the Mississippi River follows from north to south. Completely inaccurate, of course, and this would lead to all kinds of reading comprehension issues. So what they did is they saw that the letters were contained in there, and they automatically said, oh, F and L follows, that's it, they went on. They did not notice they didn't even notice that they had mixed up that word. Even though the sentence, once they did that, didn't make much sense really. So that's an example of reading inaccuracy and a student guessing at words. Now, why is this a problem? Some people say, well, it's not a big deal if a student guesses at a word here and there, as long as you're getting most of the words, it's not a big deal if they guess. It's actually a really big problem. And here are the reasons. If they start to guess at any age, they're going to have issues with spelling and also with reading accuracy, because they're going to get in the habit of guessing at words they don't know, and anytime they see a word they don't know that they're unsure of, they're not going to work on sounding it out phonetically and reading it. They're just simply going to guess or brush over it, say a random word there, and go ahead. This is going to have a very negative effect on their reading accuracy. And reading accuracy is one of the things that's extremely important in reading comprehension. If their reading accuracy suffers, and if it's not good, they're going to have a lot of difficulty remembering what they read and understanding what they read. Because like the sentence I gave you an example of before, if you end up saying the Mississippi follows from north to south, that doesn't make much sense at all. Once we get to the end of the paragraph, and ask the student, which way does the Mississippi flow? First of all, it's possible they're going to read the word again as follow, because often students will mix up the same word over and over again until they're corrected and have somebody listening to them read out loud. But if they do read it accurately, they might not know the answer anyway, because they'll think back and say, well, I don't know if it talked about which way it flows, because they're not going to have said that word properly. So this is a big issue. Also, students that get in the habit of guessing are going to tend to guess at spelling words all the time because they don't know what certain letters and letter combinations say. So therefore, when they're asked to spell a certain thing, they're just simply going to throw a bunch of random spellings down and hope one of them is correct. And they may do this over and over again. As a result, you may see a student provide 4 or 5 different spellings for the same word in a couple of days because they don't know what the letters say. And as a result, they're just simply guessing, and they're throwing out a bunch of different options and examples. So that's a problem. Now, at any age, it's a problem, but as they get older, it's even much more of a problem. The reason for this is the material that they are reading and spelling is going to get more complex as they go on in school. So as a result, any reading inaccuracy issues that they have are going to worsen as they get older. So if they were reading at maybe like 90% accuracy with basic material, if they got in the habit of guessing, this is going to tend to go down as they get older, maybe to 80%, maybe to 70%, and they're going to start mixing up a bunch of these words and having a difficult time comprehending what they're reading. Not only this, but the material that they're reading later on is going to tend to be more nuanced and is going to rely even more on reading accuracy for the student to properly understand it. So as these problems increase, as they start to get into more and more complex material, they're going to have more and more trouble with this, and this guessing habit is going to cause even more difficulties. And so it's a really, really big problem, and it absolutely needs to be addressed. Now we have to think about what the cause of it is. Well, the cause is that a student with reading difficulties uses this as a coping mechanism. They're not comfortable reading, they're not comfortable sounding words out, they probably don't have a good knowledge of phonics, because if they did that, they would know how to properly sound out words and to read them properly. So they probably haven't had that. As a result, they don't really know how to sound out a word. As a result, they get in the habit of guessing. And as they get older, this habit gets more and more entrenched, and they apply it to even more words because they're having difficulty with more words, and the problem just snowballs. And of course, they also have problems with spelling then as well. So it's a coping mechanism that students with reading and spelling difficulties develop just simply to cope, because they feel anxious about their difficulties with reading and spelling, and they don't have any alternative. They don't know how to approach a word phonetically and sound it out, so as a result, they just guess. Also, these difficulties can be increased if the child never had a phonics-based teaching method, like I said. Sometimes in school they will get some basic phonics just with individual letters up until 2nd grade, but in a lot of schools they don't get any reading teaching after 2nd grade. So as a result, if they're not completely comfortable with that, and if they're not able to pick up the more complex rules and complex phonetic sounds as they go on, they're simply going to have an option of sink or swim, and it may be sink in this case. So also, if the school that they're in does not use a phonics-based approach to reading, they may actually be encouraged to guess at words. There are some non-phonetic reading methods that say, well, you can use certain techniques if a child is having trouble with a word, have them go to the end of the sentence and see if they can guess what it is, have them look at the picture. And of course, I don't need to continue with this to, I guess, give you an idea of why this is such a problem. If a student gets in this habit, first of all, it's extremely slow. It's much slower than just reading the word properly and knowing how to properly sound out the word and read it phonetically. Also, it really leads to all kinds of reading inaccuracies, because since they never learn how to properly read the word, they're simply going to insert synonyms, and that guessing habit is going to get more and more entrenched and be harder to break as they go on. So how do you correct this problem? First of all, your child needs to have a phonics-based approach to reading and spelling. The reason why this is the first step to correcting it is because they need an alternative. If you're going to tell them they have to stop guessing, they have to have an alternative to use. They have to be able to sound words out and to read them properly. And in a phonics-based reading program, they're going to get this. They're going to learn what letters say, certain letter combinations say. They're also going to learn why vowels say certain things in certain types of syllables, and they're going to get practice sounding words out phonetically. And as a result, once they have these tools, they will be able to start reading words for real, sounding them out and reading them as they're supposed to. Now, once they have that in place, then as a parent, if you're reading with your child, what you can do is you can have them stop when they mix something up. Now, they may forget a word, they may add a word to a sentence, they may say a word incorrectly, and you can either stop them right where they are, or you can also stop them once they're at the end of the sentence and have them go back to that word to correct it. Now, if they've just started reading tutoring, chances are they're going to gradually get better and better at sounding words out as they go along, and as they get more of a knowledge of phonics, and their tutor practices these things more with them. In the beginning, it may still be a little bit tough for them, but as they have more tutoring, they're going to get more and more skilled at sounding these words out. So you can go ahead and stop them, have them go back, and if they've been in tutoring for a little while, you can just simply remind them, well, use the tools that you have. Use your phonics knowledge to go ahead and sound out this word, because they're going to have gotten very used to doing that if they're working with a tutor who's using a phonics-based method to reading. If you are trying to help your child fix this problem, you should know that there is no quick fix, unfortunately. This habit gets so ingrained that it always takes some time and encouragement and patience to help a child break this habit. To give you an example, we have some students in our online reading tutoring program who take several months to be able to start breaking this habit because it's become so ingrained. And the amount of time it takes to correct this usually depends on how old they are and how much they've gotten in the habit of guessing at things. If they're fairly young still and haven't been reading very long, it's possible that this habit hasn't really crystallized so much, so they may have an easier time breaking it. If they're a little bit older and they've just relied on this habit since the time they've first been reading, they're going to have more of a problem breaking it. It's going to take longer. They'll be able to do it, but it's going to take more patience and it's going to take more time to be able to break that habit. But it completely is worth it. Breaking this habit is going to increase spelling ability, reading accuracy, as a result, increase their reading comprehension. It's one of the primary things that needs to be done to help a child increase their reading ability. So it's definitely worth it. It requires some time and some patience, but definitely worth it to go down that path. So thanks for watching today. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them. I always like to respond to your questions. You can visit us at our website, www.TheReadingTutors.com. You can find more information about reading difficulties there, more videos, also information about our online our online reading tutoring program that we have on there. And also you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you'd like to get more information and more videos from us as time goes on. Thanks a lot and hope to hear from you. Bye-bye.